set up and empty ammo cans again. Alright, got the Browning high power out. I checked out the serial number online, and there is some records of when they were made. I thought they were all destroyed in World War II, but I was wrong, thank God. This one here was either made in 1943 or 44. I'm not sure which one yet, but it's in that ballpark. Considering how the finishes and the machining marks, I'm going to guess it was made in 1944, towards the end of World War II, and the Germans must have been putting some pressure on the Belgians to pump out more pistols for the German army. Anyways, you can see that she's empty. No rounds in the magazine on the chamber. And I just found out last night how to do a detailed field, not a field strip, but a detailed strip on the high power. I could take apart most of it without using tools. I've yet to find out how to figure out. I've yet to figure out how to take out the trigger spring, and all that kind of stuff. There's a pin right here, but I don't know. I can't get it to budge. Maybe. Yeah, I'll leave the trigger alone. It's good enough as is. But the rest of the pistol I could take apart without any tools, and it's pretty sweet. It sounds like a good design. So this is just a basic field strip I'm doing now. That takes care of that. Now I'm going to take out the firing pin by using the slide stop to push down the firing pin, move the firing pin retaining plate down. There. And I'll pull it out the rest of the way, keeping my finger over the firing pin so it doesn't go flying and getting lost in a dark corner. Okay, I'll leave that one as is. And I'll move on to this. Now, take the firing pin, drop the hammer by pushing down on the sear, and you punch out a tiny pin. It's really hard to do this with the camera so low. Yeah, there's a little pin down here in between the rail. Just punch that out with the hammer dropped, and it'll come out like so. Now keep your finger in front of the sear as you take out the firing pin, and the sear will come free. And the sear spring down there is loose. As you can see, it's just kind of chilling down there. Yeah, from there you can see that I keep forgetting what this piece is called, but yeah, that just moves on down. That's the piece that the back of the casing bumps, which makes it pops out of the slide here in the ejection port. So yeah, that just falls into the frame easily, and then from there you push on the other side of the grip safety. That comes out, which allows the trigger, the spring, the sear spring, as well as that piece to fall out. Now you can use the sear spring to remove the grips if you like. As you can see, it fits pretty much perfectly to be used as a screwdriver. I'm not going to take apart the grips. You don't really need to. I've already taken them apart, made sure there's no rusting underneath, gave it some oil, all that good stuff. You can also use the bottom of the hammer, which you can see the mainspring is contained down there. The bottom of it has been stamped, and it's kind of in the shape of a screwdriver. You can use that to take out the magazine release. If I can just, it's hard to see. There we go. It's just like the 1911, except it's wider due to the double stack design. There, well then the frame is empty, other than the grips are still on there, but I could take those off if I wanted, but that would just waste time. And I cannot figure out how to take out the trigger. But this is a good start. I'm still learning the Browning high power design. Now you take your trusty firing pin again, and there's a little tiny pin in here you can see in that hole. Just push that down. Actually, no, I gotta take out the extractor first. I guess I'm still learning this pistol. Now it takes some effort because it is constantly under pressure. It doesn't just fall out like the 1911, fortunately. I find the best way to, you see the extractor on these older models, on newer high powers, you have an external extractor right here, similar to the TT33. But on this one, it's an internal extractor, and sometimes the extractor grabs onto the back of the slide in here as though it were a casing, you know what I mean? So you gotta kind of push it this way and push it down. So I find the best way is to use this. You can get a good grip on this, and then you can use this part right here to put some tension on it and make it do what you want it to do. There we go. Yeah, that's a good start. And then you grab the safety right here, and the extractor pops out with some effort. Oh man. Oh, there we go. I struck my thumb a little bit, but I'm alright, I'll live. There's the extractor. It's kind of thin. Hopefully it doesn't end up breaking on me in the future. It is 60 odd years old, but knock on wood. Now that pin that I mentioned in here, you just push down on that, and you can see it starting to come out on the slide here. Just pull it out the rest of the way. I said you just pull it out the rest of the way. Arg. There we go. There's the piece right there. And then the, I'll call this the trigger lever because the trigger, it messes with this on the slide, which pushes the sear down, which releases the hammer. So instead of the 1911, where all of the trigger action and the hammer, it's connected on the frame alone, it's got to go through the slide first. So maybe that would help in reliability. I haven't really had any issues with reliability on my 1911, other than that one magazine I had last time I left the range. So yeah, there you go. The slide is empty, no more pieces in it, and the frame is empty. And like I said, I could take off the grips, but yeah, I'll just leave them on. Don't need to take them off. And can't figure out how to take out the trigger, but this is a really good start. Now I'll have to put it back together. I think I got time. Okay, first off, we will put the trigger lever in here, and I'm certain that's not the right word for it, but it's what I'll use for now. Pieces in like so. Come on, trying to get in the right place. Oh, thank God. Yep. Now the extractor. And the extractor actually holds that pin in. That's why I had to take out the extractor first. So it's kind of like a jigsaw, or not jigsaw puzzle, but yeah, you gotta take it apart one piece at a time. There we go. Now, before I put the hammer back in, I have to use it to put back the magazine release. Make sure that's working right. I shall go about putting back this. Now in order to put back the hammer and the sear spring, you gotta put in the spring first. And look down, there's a little hole at the bottom of the grip here, at the bottom of the frame. And the spring just goes in. I didn't put it in right. Forgive me if I fumble, like I said, I'm still figuring out the details of this design. Now, once you got it in right, I push it down on it with my finger like this. Right now I'm pushing the sear spring back like so. Now you take the hammer and you drop it in. It's got to be in the center, and it's got to go just in the back of the sear spring. And then once it falls back like that, once it's not forward anymore and you can rest it back, you put it in right. So just leave that as so, you let the sear drop. And then I reaches in the frame like this and I pushes on it. So that it keeps the hammer up like so instead of droop down. And then while I'm manipulating the spring, I kind of moves it from side to side while putting pressure on it until it clicks into its right place. Or if it just sits there as is and it doesn't move at all. Now I've got to take that flat piece that I forget what it's called all the time. And remember, you want it to be pointed downwards into the frame. That's the only way you could take out or put back in the safety. Now that those two are lined up, you put in the safety, manual safety. You might have to move the pieces around in order for them to line up right. You don't have to worry about the sear spring moving around too much, because once you have the hammer in there well, it keeps the spring in place. Now you just push down on the little spring button thing on the safety to push it down. Make sure that the flat piece is pointed down all the time, because that's the only way to take out or put back safety. Safety just clicks in place like that. Running out of time. Alright, so now the sear. There's only one way to put in the sear. The way I does it is, see that block piece sticking out? You can't mistake that for any other piece of the sear, and that goes right under the flat bit that pushes out the brass. So what you have to do is reach up into the grip, push down on the spring to make sure it's in the right place, move from side to side until it stops moving and you got it in the right spot. And then you gotta push the sear onto the sear spring and bring it back, hold it in place. Grab the little pin you got there, push it in to try to lock in the sear, and it's also going to lock this piece. Yeah, you got to make sure that this piece is always up in order to put the pin in, because it keeps it in place like that. And I use the firing pin just to give it a little extra push, and it goes in there flush. I don't push the pin in like this, because then it has a tendency to overshoot and it pushes out the other way, and we'll run out of time here. I might have to make this into 2 parts if it stops. Okay, now firing pin. Firing pin goes in like the 1911. I'm gonna have to do this up here out of sight. It's kind of awkward to do any other way. Okay, you push the firing pin down, you push the firing pin retaining plate in. Alright, I just ran out of time on there, but I just got the firing pin in, and from there it's just a basic reassembly. There you have it. Browning high power reassembly and disassembly and reassembly without using tools, except for, you know, missing the trigger bit, but pretty good. I'm really starting to love this design. Anyways, have a good one. Take it easy.